welcome to Fork in the Loaf. Today it's dinner time. I'm going to be making a dinner. I'm using my sourdough starter discard and I'm going to make some waffles with it, and I'm just going to take you with me on how I do that. And then I'm going to make a breakfast sandwich with it, and I'll just show you how we do that too. Super easy, super simple. It's one of my get home from work at 5:30 at night. My husband gets off work at 6. We've got things to do tonight, so we're going to try and get something done real quick. And we'll point you down and show you how I do it. Okay, so in here is my starter discard. So whenever I was feeding it regularly, and not like right now my starter's in the fridge, but I would take half of it out and pour it into this cup. And this is a pint, so I've got about 2 cups starter here. And it's not fed. It's been sitting in there for a couple weeks, and I just keep adding to it as I feed my discard, which is much smaller right now because I'm not doing as much baking as I used to. And to this 2 cups, I'm going to add, this is a half teaspoon. I'm going to add half of that, so add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt to it. You can add more. You can add vanilla. You could add cinnamon to this. I don't. Especially since I'm going to be making a breakfast sandwich with this. I'm going to add 2 eggs, and I just washed these. They're from my chickens. See, this is a normal chicken egg. There's one of my baby chicken eggs. It's a little bit smaller. Not a baby chicken. They're just starting to lay, though. It's cute. You could add sweetener to this, or you don't have to. I'm going to add just a little bit of honey because I kind of like that little bit with... Actually, maple syrup would be good in here because maple syrup with egg and sausage. So in here, I have some melting coconut oil. It looks like I got about 1/2 cup. I only need about 1/4 cup. I'm gonna pour this in here. And it's about 1/4 cup. A little bit more. I'll use this to grease my pan. I'll show you my cast iron pan. And I'm just gonna mix all this up. You could add milk powder to this if you wanted to add a little bit of like the milk to it. I don't. And then I'm going to add about 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda. You could add more, you could add less. Half teaspoon isn't enough, and a full teaspoon is too much. So I just do about 1/4 teaspoon. I'm sorry, I just do about 3/4 teaspoon. And then I'm just going to mix all this up. Try not to get it on my clothes. You could whisk it, but I'm like, I already had this thing being used. Okay, that's it. Easy peasy. And now because I have all that fat in it, and I have the baking powder, all that fun stuff, it's gonna make a beautiful waffle. I'm going to move you over to my pan that's been heating up, and I'll show you how I do the rest of this. I've had this thing around for a while, since I was a kid or since I was young. It's been around a while. I wonder if my brother would recognize it. It's a Procter & Silex. I don't even know if they exist anymore. And then over here, I have 2 cast iron. I've got each half on a burner getting heated. I've greased them already. They're on low right now. I'm going to crank them up just a little bit. I don't want them to get too hot. And it looks like I need to clean my stove. And then I'm going to start with this one. We're not really supposed to grease it, but I feel like it's starting to get to that point where it kind of needs a little bit of extra help. There should be enough grease in my batter that I don't need a lot. I really should have worn an apron. Okay, this is roughly a 1/2 cup measuring, a 1/2 cup ladle. I'm putting about 3/4 cup on there. I'm going to close it. This is going to tell me when it's ready. And we are not going to be watching this long enough because I'm going to move over to here. Now my daughter really likes the big Belgian waffle size. I really like this size. It's kind of that flatter, more old-fashioned type waffle. And I'm going to tell you a trick with mine. Having this bar on the bottom to start is a little bit easier. There's 2 different ends. See, there's this hook end. See how that's got that little hook there? And this one has that bar end. I'm gonna keep that bar end down. I'm gonna throw on some, and then I'm gonna take my hook end, stick it on there, and then I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna set my timer for 4 minutes, and I'm gonna let it sit here. I've got it on a low heat, so it shouldn't get too dark. The honey will help it brown a little bit. If I had added milk to it, it'd help it brown just a little bit more. I'm okay with it not being super brown. Cinnamon, if you added cinnamon to yours, it would make it a little bit more brown. I'll add vanilla to these, but I decided since we're gonna be adding meat, cheese, and egg to it, we didn't need to add vanilla or anything too sweet to it. While I have my waffle cooking in here, I'm gonna get started on some eggs and some sausage. And this is my regular egg pan. This thing almost never leaves my stove. I use it for sausage patties, I use it for eggs, I use it for grilled cheese, I use it for quesadillas, anything that I'm doing. This is used constantly. It's kind of one of those flat bottomed. I'll show you. Like this, that's how deep it is. It's just not very big at all. I use this for making Swedish pancakes, which is something that my family grew up on. And for that, I have some lard that I get from a local farm that does pasture-raised, humanely raised pig. And they sell the lard, and I love it. We're gonna get this melting on here. Go grab some eggs. Okay, just to show you this, the light has gone off, but it's still steaming pretty good, so I'm thinking it's not quite done yet. So once that steam starts, like, it's starting to not pour out quite so bad now, so I'm thinking it's probably pretty close to done. So I'll show you what it looks like here in just a moment. I just had to show you my eggs. Look, I got a speckled. Hope you can see that. This egg is all speckled. This is kind of a dark brown, and this is a light brown. I'm so excited to have brown eggs again. My timer's about to go off on this waffle iron. So as soon as that goes off, I'm gonna flip it and do another 4 minutes. I'm gonna do 3 minutes because it's looking pretty done. A fork is the best tool I've found for getting waffles out. And there is waffle number 1. Okay, so my timer just went off. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this, and now see, I've got that hook side on top again because I flipped it at the beginning, and that will save us so much hassle. So I'm going to leave that on that hot burner. It looks like we've got plenty of grease here, but I'm going to go ahead and take some of that coconut oil and just kind of do another little greasy. I'm not real happy with how I didn't put quite enough on here, but the color is beautiful. So this next one I got to try and get a little bit more full, like maybe just add a little bit more to this one. The other one I added a little bit more to as well, probably closer to 2 full ones. How many of you guys have stained shirts? I don't, look at this. How many of you guys have stained shirts? Ah. So I'm gonna put just a little bit more on there this time. This is a Rome waffle iron. I love the thing. I know that there's other kinds that you can get out there, but this has been perfect. It came with a ton of wax on it, so I had to boil it off. I think I actually stuck it in my barbecue outside to really get it burnt off because I didn't want it in my house. So I put it in boiling water at first, and I kind of cleaned it with soapy water, and then I stuck it in my barbecue and let it burn the rest of it off for quite some time. But it's been a great waffle iron. I don't have sticking problems. The big key to that is make sure it's hot and that you grease it. You can't just not grease cast iron. And then I never clean it with soap. I just brush it out and I hang it up in my kitchen. That's what it, after it cools off, and it's amazing. I love the size of it. See, I love, like, this is like the Belgian waffle that we get out of the thicker machine, and this is the one. These just make really good sandwiches. I don't know that I would love a sandwich out of this. Too big. So I do them both because my daughter likes the big ones. I like the skinnier ones. I could also use this to make a pancake if I wanted to, but I really just kind of want to make a few waffles. It's almost the exact same recipe. I think, well, I think I actually use the same recipe for both of them. Okay, so this one's about to go, the buzzer's about to go off. I'm going to flip it and I'm going to finish it, and I'll come back when I get done with the last of the waffles. Okay, I've got my waffle over here. I'm going to go ahead and fry some eggs. On my hot grease pan, and it's not as hot as I'd like it because I kind of let it cool off a little bit. I'm gonna break the yolks because I don't like a messy egg sandwich, fried egg sandwich. Come on. While those are cooking, I'm gonna throw the sausage patties on here. Look how non-stick that pan is, you guys. That is the beauty of dealing with cast iron, and you don't have all the nasty stuff that comes with non-stick pans. That is why I like cast iron. I'm gonna add some cheese to these because, you know, this is Havarti cheese. It's my favorite. These are Smithfield brand. It used to be Farmland, I guess, and I guess now it's Smithfield. My favorite. I've looked long and hard for a good sausage patty. I don't like a lot of the brands that are out there, and these are my favorite. It tastes like sausage. It doesn't have that aftertaste that comes with some of the weird patties. So for a sandwich, I'm just going to take these, I'm going to break them in half. I'm going to take one of the eggs, and it's okay if it folds in on itself. That's kind of how I keep them all on one sandwich, and it's okay that the bread is smaller than the eggs. It doesn't bother me at all. I'd rather have more egg than bread anyway, right? Put that cheese on there, and I'm going to show you a little trick that we have, and I'm going to move you to the other side. Y'all know what this stuff is, right? Makes for the best breakfast sandwich. Mustard on my fried egg sandwiches, just like that, is awesome. You can use maple syrup. I have a Date Lady syrup that would be really good on here. I'm just gonna do mustard, sausage, egg and cheese, and the waffle, and that's it. Sausages are done. Sandwiches are ready to go. Don't those look beautiful? And that took me less than 30 minutes. So it probably took me about 25 minutes. So not significantly less. But that's one of our go-tos when we come home. It's been a long day and we just need to get something fast. This is homemade sauerkraut with purple sauerkraut or red sauerkraut or whatever you call it. That will be perfect for this meal. And believe it or not, this will be good on this sandwich as well. It's so good. We've really learned to like the red cabbage for the sauerkraut. It has a flavor that's really nice. So there's a simple dinner for us that we're gonna have tonight. It's all made with stuff that I have on hand. I always have sourdough starter on hand, whether I have sourdough starter discard or I have fed starter, I always have sourdough starter on hand, and making waffles and pancakes out of that stuff makes life so much easier. If you're really doing like a crowd pleaser and you've got people coming over, you just feel extra special, you can make the sponge the night before and let it sit on your counter and rest, and then you get up the next morning and you add all your ingredients to it and you make pancakes or waffles that way. But having the discard pancakes or waffles is hands down the easiest, fastest way to just whip out some healthier versions of pancakes. Easier to digest, easier on my system, like I can eat them without having any repercussions like I have with fresh flour. Thank you for joining me on this adventure of a fork in the loaf. If you like this kind of a video, hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe. The bell, that little bell will notify you anytime I put up new videos, and thanks for joining me.